Hey guys, it's your girl Tammy Torres. Welcome to the G.E.M, the Grand Enterprises Movement. Our mission is to motivate, to energize, to uplift, to encourage, and of course, to inspire one another each and every single day. I am super duper excited, y'all, because today we have an amazing guest with us, and I cannot wait to share all the goodness, y'all, because it is about to be an amazing time. We got Miss Monika M. Pickett. Miss Monika M. Pickett is an author, a cultural commentator, a mother, grandmother, a broadcaster, a highly sought after speaker, and LGBTQIA rights advocate. She encourages being one's authentic self. She had to reinvent herself. In doing that, she decided to be authentically her, y'all. She has also authored monthly columns for the Huffington Post, the EURweb.com, and the Medium.com. Her columns explore her thoughts, her experience, and advice about coming out, about same-sex marriage and divorce, navigating the U.S. health systems, ongoing cultural bias, and a variety of other issues. Monika is also the author of an international bestseller, Pretty Boy Blue, the trilogy, y'all. So make sure you guys check this out. She has also contributed to the Unleashed Voice magazine and was recognized a reoccurring host of Inside Out on WPFW-FM 89.3 in Washington, D.C., y'all. The DMV, y'all know where we at. Monika is a member of the Black Speakers Network, a former advertising sales executive with the Washington Times and the National Society of Black Engineers. Y'all, listen. She earned a master's degree of human services from Lincoln University in 2001 and an MBA from Johns Hopkins University in 2005. She's a veteran. Thank you for your service. From the United States Army, where she served as a medic in Operation Desert Storm and received an honorable discharge in 1991. Y'all help me welcome Miss Monika M. Pickett.
Hey, Tammy.
Welcome, Miss Monika. Say hello to our guest.
Hello. Hello, everyone. That sounds so wonderful. I was like, who that is? Who's she talking about? Can you hear me?
Thank you. Hey, Miss Monika.
Hey, Tammy. How are you? Can you hear me? I think I can't hear you. I can't hear you, sweetie. How about now? I can't hear you. How about now?
Hi, Miss Monika. I'm so sorry. Could you hear the introduction? I'm sorry.
Yes. I
don't know what happened, y'all. Technical difficulties, but y'all bear with us because y'all know we in here. Y'all rocking with the G.E.M. So yeah.
Thank you so much. You were reading. I was like, who's she talking about?
You beautiful.
Thank you.
Welcome to the G.E.M. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here.
Yes. Listen, you do so much as an author, an advocator, a commentator for the culture, all of those wonderful things. So, I just want you to first, tell people a little bit more about who you are. I know I gave that big spew in your bio, and hello to everybody in the comments. I see y'all watching, but if you want to just kind of elaborate a little bit about your trilogy and just kind of like jump into like who you are. You wear so many hats, and you the bomb.com girlfriend.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. It's interesting because, I always think that we have our plan, like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this. And I think God is tapping his finger like, okay, that's a cute little plan you have, but that's not my plan. And, I'm often asked, when did you know you wanted to become an author? And I never knew. I never wanted to become an author. This was God's plan and not my plan. It was very different, but as you know, Tammy, God's plans are always better. And so, long story short, I was living in Chicago at the time. I was married. My son was on his way to high school. I had just moved from Maryland to Chicago, and I had just graduated from Johns Hopkins with my MBA. And it's interesting because I went to Lincoln University to get a master's in human services before I even applied for Johns Hopkins. So I was working on my thesis and then I applied for Johns Hopkins. I must have been on crack, girl, because I was like, would I do that?
Right.
But I was thinking, let me keep going, because if I stop, I'm not going to finish. And I wanted to always be able to tell my son that you've got to get an education. No one can ever take that for you.
That's
Education
right.
is power. And so I graduated. I was working my way through the bureaucracy at Chicago Public Schools. And one morning, Tammy, I got up to go to the bathroom and I fell out of the bed. And I was like, okay, maybe I fell over the comforter. And so I tried to get up again and I fell again. And as you know, I was a medic in the military. And so I was like, oh my God, am I having a stroke? Like the right side was weaker. It was numb. And I felt like I wanted to vomit. I thought I was going to just lose all my bodily fluids. So I crawled to the bathroom and my son called 911 and I was rushed to University of Chicago, and I was diagnosed with neurosarcoidosis. So
Oh, wow.
a couple years before that diagnosis, I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis.
Mhm.
As many know, the late comedian Bernie Mac died of complications from sarcoidosis.
Hmm.
So it's autoimmune disease. It can
Yeah.
hit any organ in your body. And me, with my dramatic ass, it my sarcoidosis spread from my lungs to my eyes to my brain, which there is no cure for neurosarcoidosis.
My
So
goodness.
I had a stroke, and as you know, it was in the winter time, and Chicago is brutally cold.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so as I was doing rehab, because I lost the ability to walk, and I was stuck in the house because it was freezing, and I started to get really depressed, and I was spiraling, and I was like, oh my God, there was such a urgency to recreate myself, because I was like, I have an MBA. I can't just be a disabled housewife. And so I was like, what can I do? And so in order to keep from becoming very depressed, I started journaling,
Wow.
and I started reading, and I was like, okay, God, this can't be my life. And
Yeah.
I started journaling, and I said, what can I do? My MBA concentration is marketing, and I have an extensive sales background. So
Mm.
I started reading my journals, and I was like, oh, this shit is good. I was like, I can sell anything I believe in. And I
Yes.
was like, this is good. So I said, I'm going to write a book. And then I hired a consultant with my disability money. And she said, yeah, I did. And
I know that's right.
she said, are you going to write one book or others? I said, only one. And she said, you
Mm.
should always think in threes. And so by the time I did that, I had written so much that I had written 2 books in one.
Wow.
And
Wow.
actually wrote 3 books in 7 years.
My goodness. And so that's how the trilogy came out, right?
Right, right,
Right.
right.
Can
And
you
so,
share with people the title of your trilogy again, and then
right.
talk a little bit about how a little bit about the story?
Yeah, it's loosely based on my life. It's fiction.
Mhm.
The first title is Pretty Boy Blue. The first title of the first book, rather. The second is The Darkest Shade of Blue. And the third is The Evolution of Nikki Blue. Nikki Blue is the main protagonist. And I came out in the early 80s at the age of 13.
Mhm.
As you can imagine, that was very difficult.
Yeah.
I was bullied in school. I hated school. I can't
Mm.
believe I got an MBA because I hated school. I mean, the MBA almost killed me, but I wasn't always the smartest student, but a couple of my professors showed me that I was one of their most determined students, because
Oh.
if I started something, I was going to finish. And
Mm.
so the first title, Pretty Boy Blue, when I first came out to my 8th grade teacher, and
Mm.
she just told me, she said, love who you want to love. And then my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, told me, she was like paternal. She said, you love who you want to love, and me and Pop will love who you love. And after that, my nana
Wow.
was like, I love you. I was like, I don't give a damn what nobody says. But I
I know
was,
that's right.
I was bullied a lot. So the title, I always felt like a pretty boy. because I knew that
Mm.
I present as a feminine woman, but on the inside, I always felt like a boy. And
Wow.
so, yeah.
Mm.
So the darkest shade of blue was basically the middle ages and stages of my life where it was just really dark.
Mm.
I thought I was gonna have a girlfriend and we would get married, and I don't know how I thought we were gonna have kids at that time, but as you can imagine, that didn't work out well. Um, that's one girlfriend. So that was a dark period in
Mhm.
the main character's life as well as mine. And then the evolution of Nikki Blue. Basically, Nikki finds herself and she just
Wow.
realizes that for so many years she stood in someone else's shadow, and she didn't
Mm.
to do that anymore.
Oh my goodness, girl, I don't got the trilogy, but now I need to make sure I get the trilogy. So, Miss Monica, please make sure I get the trilogy.
I'll send you a signed copy, or we'll have lunch.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yes, because we are so close.
Free. Yeah, but
Yes, yes.
okay, brace yourself because it's fiction and it falls under erotica. But guess
It's
what? Sells.
it,
So yeah,
right. It's all good. It's all good. We are grown folks, right?
yes, yes.
I love it. Thank you for sharing that intro with us. I when I first kind of met you virtually, I just put out. And we're part of the same Black Speakers Network group, and being members of the group, I just was like, I really wanted to expand my podcast. I want to reach out to people that inspire people, right? Because that's my entire mission, to inspire 24/7. I want to hear other people's testimonies, and I want people to hear what life is like for somebody else and how they overcame. So I want to know, and I want to hear from you. How do you inspire people each and every single day?
I would like to think that I inspire people to, again, be their authentic selves, because I realized that I was doing that in the 80s at 13. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I like girls. I don't care. This is how God made me to be. I can't
Mm-hmm.
help it. And I'm still going to have everything that society said I could never have. They said I
Mm-hmm.
could never, I could never have a wife. And I was like, I don't give a damn. I don't know how I'm going to do it. This is before, same sex marriages and equality and all that, but that I can never have children. And I was like, well, who is society to say that I can't be a lesbian and a mother?
Yeah.
And in my personality, Tammy, and I think that goes well with my sales background. If you tell me I can't do something, it's over.
I
I'm
love that.
times.
Yes.
So, just being your authentic self, and life is too short. You have to live and love who you want to love. Do what you want to do because tomorrow's not promised. Again, um, I never planned or never thought I would have a stroke. My life
Yeah.
is very different now.
Mm-hmm.
And I talk to my sister all the time about how difficult it has been adjusting to having a disability that I wasn't born with. You know,
Yeah.
example, just recently I started just taking photos with my rollator. I had a
Mm.
relapse, most severe relapse last year, and I almost died.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so this is the longest time I've had to walk with the walker. I'm getting stronger, but I don't know. This may be my new reality, my new normal, my new reality. I don't know.
Mm.
But I'm going to keep trying to do my part. And, as my mother would say, God is still on a throne. So,
That's
you
right.
just have to go with whatever cards you're dealt and make the best of it.
That's right. That's right. And listen, that testimony will inspire so many people to just keep on pushing, keep pressing. Don't give up, y'all. Like, listen, Monica's letting y'all know, do
No,
not give up. Like,
you
and be
can't.
your authentic self.
Yeah, I mean, Tammy, I used to hate speaking in public. Oh God, when we had presentations in business school, I hated it. And now here I am reading erotica in public and shit. It's too much. I mean, it's just crazy because I was like, what? And it's so interesting because I banned my mother and certain family, mostly my mother and a few of my aunties from reading the book. My mother's never read my book and she never will. Out of respect, and
Yeah.
some people are like, well, is mom here? And my mom is my caregiver, thank God. I don't know what else.
Oh, thank God. Yeah.
So she
Wow.
goes with me when I travel and I do readings. And I said, Mommy, okay, you know you're gonna have to be an honorary lesbian because you always gotta go with and girl,
Not
she
an
was
honorary lesbian.
drinking free off the lesbian scam. I was like, Mom, so
Your mama is a G. I love your
she
mama.
really
Hi, mama.
is. She really is. And she just said, give it to God, and
Amen.
that's what I had to do. And, it's interesting because when I started talking about my testimony in the test, again,
Mhm.
someone once said, oh, I didn't know you were so holy than thou. And I was like, well, if you know me and you know what I've been through, I'm surprised you would say that because, I've never been a very religious person, but I've always been very spiritual.
Right.
And the trilogy and becoming an author and writing, it didn't come to me until actually most people don't know that when the first edition of Pretty Boy Blue was published, I was going through a very ugly divorce.
Wow.
And nobody knew that except for my best friends and my family. And I was going through a divorce, and the first edition of Pretty Boy Blue was published
Mhm.
the weekend of my 50th birthday.
Wow.
So that's a blessing. And imagine the fear and the
Mm.
unknown of having to start over at 49, sleeping on my mother's couch.
Mhm.
I was just ashamed and humiliated. And, so I had to fight through that,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
never too late to recreate yourself and, your dreams never have an expiration date.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So, with so much that you've already accomplished, what would you say is one of your greatest success or some of your greatest successes?
Um, Becoming an author, going
Yeah.
through what I had to go through.
Yeah.
And my dream is to have the trilogy adapted into a screenplay.
Oh, that's
So I can
awesome.
feel, Tammy, I can feel that in my spirit, my soul, just like I felt the book,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
dream about it. I think about it. I work on my brand every day, not just my
Yes.
brand as an author, but just, as someone who is living their lives authentically.
That's right.
I think the other most successful thing is becoming a grandmother
Yeah.
because even a mother. I have one son, and my daughter-in-law is the daughter I never had. I call her my
Mhm.
daughter-in-love, and I have
Oh,
3 beautiful grandchildren. And
wow.
this is not just my legacy; this is also their legacy because
That's right.
it takes time to have uh, a movie made, or especially for
Mhm.
authors to have a book adapted into a film. So it may happen while I'm here
Mhm.
on this earth, and it may not. And maybe it may come to fruition with one of my grandchildren. And I want them
Mhm.
to be like, dang, my nana did the damn thing. She was doing it. You know what I mean? Like, how
Yeah.
do you do that? Yeah. So I
I
think,
love that.
yeah.
I absolutely love that. And when they say you have a ton of success or you have great success, it also comes failures or what I call opportunities. So, what are some areas of opportunities that you've had and that we've already talked about a lot of hurdles that you've overcome, but what
Mhm.
is maybe like a obstacle or opportunity that was in your way that you are so glad you overcame and are in this place today? I mean, we've already heard a lot, but I'm sure there's more.
I just think taking risk,
Yeah.
and just knowing that you have everything that you need. For example, I remember I was going through divorce, and it was just really ugly. And I didn't have any money at the time because I moved back home, and I was sleeping on my mother's couch at 49 in the senior building. And
I see you building.
yes, it was a mess. But I
Oh
learned
my
so
gosh,
much.
girl.
I
Yeah.
learned so much, but I was just really, I think I had to, I don't know what I had to do. It was something regarding upcoming speaking engagement, or I had to go to New York for headshots. I don't know what it was. And I
Mhm.
didn't have any money. I didn't, I just didn't have it. And I prayed and I cried, and I asked God to send me a sign. And Tammy, right at the foot of my bed was like 50 books, right? And I was like, oh my God. And
Mm.
so what I did was I made a post and I, I had a sign or a sale that the books were for sale. Because most supporters or readers, avid readers, they like author signatures.
Yeah.
And so I started selling signed copies. And when I tell you, I sold all the books and raised enough money. And God
My
was,
goodness.
it's right in front of you. Literally, it was right in front of me at the foot of my
My
bed.
goodness. My goodness.
But I was so fearful. And I just,
God is so
you gotta
good.
take risk, and you gotta believe in yourself, even if no one else does.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. And speaking of believing in yourself, if you could look back now at your 18-year-old self and the things that you know now as an adult, what would you say to yourself back then at 18 that you didn't know then, but you know now as an adult?
I would probably say that, everything you need, you have it already inside of you.
Mm,
You have it,
I love that.
and it's going to be okay. But
Mm,
because, like I said, I was for so many years, and I just always wanted to, you know, it's interesting because there's no difference between me and my heterosexual sister.
mhm.
She wanted children, wanted to be married, house with a picket fence. I wanted the same thing. It's just that
Right.
she loved men and I love women.
Mhm.
And I just, I am so grateful for God's grace and mercy because my life is different. The picture that I have is
Mhm.
different from what I thought it was going to be, but it's better,
Yeah.
and yet, like I told you in the beginning,
Yeah.
I have, or I've had everything society said I could not have.
Amen. Amen. I
So,
love that for you. I love, love, love that for you. And I want to inspire people to really, look at your life and look at, who you were and then who you are today, right? And just look at how good God has been. Don't look at all the things you didn't do, right, or couldn't do, but look at what you have accomplished. And like you said, you made a plan and said, "Look, I'm gonna accomplish X, Y, and Z. I'm gonna do all this," at a certain age, and you were able to accomplish just that. So, what do you feel is a piece of advice that you would give somebody that's just starting out as an author?
I would give the advice to just start writing. Just write. And sometimes, if you experience writer's block, simply put it down and come back to it. It may be, not maybe, whatever you wrote, it's going to look different. Just put it down and come back to it. Um, yeah, I would just say just start writing, and just don't try to write and edit. Write a couple chapters and then go back and edit. That's wasting time, because just write the whole story, because most people don't know that. For example, when I wrote, I just wrote. I'm a writer. I'm an author. I'm not an editor. I'm not a copy editor. I'm not a proofreader. So that's not what I do. And Tammy, I didn't know that I needed a proofreader, an editor, a
Hmm.
copy editor. And if you really want to get your name out there and start working on your brand, you need a good publicist.
That's right.
Are very expensive, but guess what? You get what you pay for, And I decided to invest in the best copy writer, an editor, and a copy editor and a proofreader. Because when I first finished the book and I sent it to my editor,
Hmm.
he chopped it up, and I had to maybe do 8 or 9 revisions. I was sick of that book by that.
Wow.
I was sick of it, and it's usually more than that. But as an indie author, you have more control over your content, over your
That's
voice,
right.
because I don't want my voice changed.
Hmm.
But I think we were maybe at about the 5th revision, and at 3 o'clock in the morning, he sent me an email, and I would just see his name in my inbox, and I would just get so nervous, girl. I was like, "Oh, what?" And so, okay, so I'm done. I was happy. But Tammy, then he said, so now I need to refer you to a copy editor. Like,
What?
yeah, because, and then that was more money.
Mm-hmm.
It was more money, and I had to come up with that. And then
Mm-hmm.
the copy editor, but before that, I had a proofreader. So, you can't just write a book. And, I've met authors, and I said, well, we would switch books or, support each other, exchange books, excuse me. And I would say, well, who's your editor? And they would say, well, I edited myself. No,
Mm-mm.
I don't see it the way you're going to.
That's right.
I don't do what you do. And one of the most important things I learned in business school from a professor was, he said,
Yeah.
surround yourself with people who do what you don't know how to do,
Yeah.
you don't like to do. I'm not a copy editor. I'm not an editor. I'm just a writer. So I thought I wrote some lovely shit, and he cut it. He said, that's redundant. It doesn't make sense, or you're going to offend the reader. And I thought it was wonderful, but he's the expert at what he does.
Yeah.
And so when he said, cut it, I cut it.
Yeah. That's right. I know that's right. So that's a nugget for people too, is, if you go with experts, you have to be willing to listen and take the advice of the expert, and not trying to be a know-it-all so that you can get the outcomes that you desire, right?
Because I was like, my little heart was so hurt. I was like, I love that character. I love that scene. And he was like, Monica, no, this character is not needed. So I was like, I gotta cut it. And I cut it. And he's the expert.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. If you could go back in time, or if you could sit down with a historical figure, who would it be and why? I'm interested to know.
I've always had this obsession with James Baldwin.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, because, of course, I just love authors like Toni Morrison, but James Baldwin, excuse me, for him to be a Black author, gay man, and when I came out, again, I was bullied a lot, so I would cut class, and I don't know how I graduated from high school, because I cut class so much because the kids always bullied me. So I would go to DuPont Circle where all the gay boys were. And they taught me about courage and resilience, and to never let people see you sweat. And so I would say James Baldwin, because I would, he probably had stories, honey.
Yeah.
He had stories, and he was such a regal, just like an old regal. You know how gay men are, honey. They tell you, and, with his cigarettes, and, not to be offensive, I'm old school, but just an old queen. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I can imagine the stories, when it's getting good and the person start whispering and shit,
That is so true.
So James Baldwin, yeah.
I love that. I love that. You are a great storyteller, by the way. I just want to say that, Monica, you really are. Because I'm just sitting here listening. I can't even interrupt y'all because she just talks so well, and just the stories are great. I absolutely love it.
It's funny you said that, because my editor, I was blessed to have an editor and a copy editor who used to work together. They used to work together at Random House, and they were both awesome. I would just dread seeing their names in my inbox, because from the first book to the third book, he said, you become a better writer. He said, wow, you are an amazing storyteller. Some people would, their feelings would be hurt. Like, I'm all right. No, I'm a storyteller. And
that's right.
I need experts to help me become a better writer. And they were busy. They both were very busy because they were good. They tried to divorce me after the first book, because they were like, I don't know if I have time, Monica. I have time. I was like, listen.
No, you will not.
Listen, I don't care all them big celebrities you have. I don't give a damn. You're not divorcing me. We in this, right or die. And so I had to wait to get on that schedule. And I said, you're not divorcing me. I don't care how you pause, and I don't care what big celebrities you have. and they fell out laughing, but they didn't divorce me. I was like, you can't
Oh,
leave
that's
them.
awesome.
I'm doing a trilogy. This is our baby.
I love that, Monica. I absolutely love that. You got me over here running my mascara, girl. I can't keep it
I'm such
together.
a drag queen.
I love
I'm sorry.
I love it. So listen, are you watching any? I know. As we're part of the Black Speakers Network and other platforms, are you watching or listening to any other podcasts? And what are your, if so, what are your top three?
You know what? I really just discovered podcasts when I became
Mm-hmm.
a member of the Black Speakers Network, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, because if
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't writing, um, I was recuperating from
Right.
the relapse, because I was on medication a lot, and so to be honest, I can't really answer that because I'm just finding
Right.
it. But for example, I was going through the directory looking at several podcasts, and I would see what kind of guests they were looking for. And when I saw yours, the description, and I was like, wow, inspiration,
Yeah.
spirituality. And then when I looked at a couple of your podcasts, your energy was so
Thank you.
infectious and you're so radiant. I was like, oh, I'm a stalker.
Thank you.
I'm a stalker until she answers me. So I'm
Thank
learning,
you.
I'm still learning about podcasts, but I love yours. And I was
Oh,
like, I
thank
just
you.
love this woman because you're just so radiant and uplifting.
Yes, thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you. Oh my goodness. I know that there has been so many people like in your journey that have truly blessed you by dropping different gems in your life, whether it's spoken gems or maybe it was a gem, a token of some kind of, appreciation or something that you, kept with you along your journey. So
Mhm.
what gems did others share with you as you are on the gem, y'all? She rocking with the gem.
Yeah.
What gems have people dropped in your life that has really resonated with you? And feel free to share as many as you want. We just talking and busting it up.
Yeah, yeah. I would have to say one, and she just told me this last week. My mother. I'm so blessed to still have my mother here on earth. I just lost my paternal grandmother some months ago, so that was really hard. But um, my mother always says, "Give it to God. Give it to God." And she has one of the most purest heart. She's with Jersey girl, so we love God, but we cuss a lot. So, but I always hear my mother's voice, give it to God. You know, um, I think also again, one of the gems I learned from my professors in business school was to surround yourself with people who know the things that you don't know. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. Um, those were the two things. And you know the other thing is to give people grace, because you never know what someone is going through. You never know. Just a kind word or a smile, you don't have to speak, a smile, but you got to give people grace, because someone gave you grace or is giving you grace. And so I think those are and I'm still evolving, and like I said, I almost transitioned last year. um One of the doctors said, if or nurse said, if I hadn't come in, my sister, if she hadn't taken me to the hospital, I would have transitioned in 2 weeks. And I was diagnosed with what they call a failure to thrive. And my niece helped me to understand this. Failure to thrive is basically mental and emotional versus physical. But for someone who has a chronic long-term illness and they're isolated, I was stuck in the house, I couldn't walk, and then pandemic, and then just depression, and failure to thrive means you just give up.
My
you just
goodness.
you just give up. And I remember having a conversation with my sister when I was in the hospital, and I said, I can't have this conversation with mommy, but I
Mm,
have to have it with you.
my goodness. Mm. Oh my goodness.
And I said,
Oh, thank God. Thank God. Mm.
I don't know if I can do this anymore. I'm tired.
Mm.
I said, but I want you to know that I'm going to give it all I got. I'm going to fight. But when I can't fight anymore, I have to let go. And she hugged me and she said, I don't know what you have to go through each day, but I will respect that. And I said,
Oh,
I can't tell mommy, but I have to tell you as my sister and Tammy, while I was in the hospital, I prayed. Then my aunties called me and they said the congregation at church was praying for me. And I thought of my ancestors, and
yeah,
it's just something moved through me. And
yeah.
so it was that my faith, and then my grandchildren. I was like,
Oh,
they need me. I have to be here when they tell me about their first boyfriend or girlfriend or graduate from high school. I have to be here.
oh,
So I just decided that I just have to fight and hold on more. Hold on a
that's
little
right.
longer, a lot longer, hopefully.
Oh, thank God. Oh my goodness, Monica. I just thank God for your life. I thank God for you being a living, walking testimony. I see your sister Robin on here. Shout out to Robin. Is that your sister,
No,
Robin?
no, oh, but that's my auntie.
Auntie Robin, how you doing, Auntie?
That's my auntie, my favorite auntie. One of my
Oh,
aunties, yeah.
yes,
Hey,
and a ton of your other friends and
yes,
family
yes.
members.
Well, thank
Shout out to all you guys, Lupe,
you
Monica,
so much.
Tanya,
Oh, I have
Bree.
so much. I'm so blessed to
You
have,
are blessed.
yes,
Yes,
to have so
yes.
much support, because I'm just the old drag queen, little lesbian from New Jersey.
Shout out to New York and New Jersey. I know I'm from New York. Most
Yeah,
people know
I
that.
didn't
Yes,
know it. Yes, East
yes,
Coast.
yep. Yes, right. So, but yeah, shout out to all your people in the comments and those that are watching. Oh my gosh, y'all, like, thank you guys for sticking with Monica. She needed, we all need good people by our side. And your mother is amazing. Until I said hello, she
Yeah,
don't know me yet,
yeah,
but she
she
is so
gonna know you
resilient.
'cause you stuck with me now, Tammy.
I know. That's right. I know that's right. I'm here, boo.
Yes.
So, oh my goodness. Man, I know you have so much that you can share with our listeners, but if you had a few gems yourself that you could share with people, I know you talked about being your authentic self. You talk about, people just being who they are, and just loving themselves from the inside out. Are there any other gems that you want to share with our listeners so that, they can take them gems with them, put them in their back pocket and be ready to pull them out when they need them?
Right. I just, again, Tammy, I'm not a very religious person, but I'm very
Mhm.
spiritual. And I just
Amen.
try to live a life that I think God wants me to live.
Yeah.
And I would just say be kind to people, and
Hmm.
don't judge people. Those of us in the LGBTQIA community, we're often judged and, disowned, and some
Hmm.
are unfortunately murdered, raped, and just God made all of us. And I know I was
Yeah.
internet fighting with somebody on social media, you know,
Not internet fighting, girl.
yes, which I don't do, but they were attacking this young boy. Leave this boy alone. That's who.
Right.
And it's like, well, he wasn't born that way. God didn't make him that way. Somebody touched him as a baby. Just stop,
Mm,
and judging me. And uh, I don't have to
mm.
answer to anyone but God.
That's right.
That's
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Maybe my mom
Yep.
and my grandmothers are going, so I don't have to answer to anyone but God. And
Hmm.
let me worry about you. Worry
That's
about
right.
yourself,
Hmm.
and don't judge people,
That's right.
you
Yeah.
know.
That's right. I mean, I told you before we went live, I shared with you that I was raised by two moms, and a time, during the 80s and 90s when again this was not popular, and I am so grateful for both of my moms. I thank God
Good.
for them every single day. I thank God I had my father in my life too,
Yeah.
and my stepfather, so but at that time, growing up in the 80s and 90s and people not understanding, and yeah, we got bullied and everything else too. So
Yeah.
I feel you a
Yeah.
1000%. But like you said, my parents, my mom and my stepmother taught us to love people unconditionally without any limits, unless they show you something different, right? If people don't treat you well, you don't got to not treat them well back, but
Right.
you know that they ain't for you. You got to just be like, all right, I'm gonna move you over to the side. I can't fool with all that, and then proceed. But my parents taught us love and unconditional love, and that the Bree is funny. She said the she said the internet fight.
I
The internet
know.
fight was
You
hilarious.
could get caught up in fighting on the internet.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, y'all got sidetracked because these comments are hilarious. Bree, yes, shout out to my mom. I would not take it back. And like you said, I am a spiritual person as well. Religion. I am a minister of the gospel, but for me, I teach from an authentic place. I do not. I'm not trying to make anybody do anything. I just want to teach you the word of God as I feel, I'm led, and, go from there. And so, like you, I definitely understand your journey. I understand, that the path where people are just in a place of biasness and not being open-minded and not loving from a place of grace and mercy, as we want God to love us, right? So,
Right.
we should love unconditionally. So, but anyway, enough about me. As we begin to wrap up, and I hate to have you go. I don't want you to leave me. Girl, don't leave me.
Well, you know what? We got to have lunch so I can give you your signed copies.
Yes. Definitely plan to do that. The next week, whenever. Just let me know. I'm pretty flexible, so I'm definitely. Yep. If you could be remembered for anything and your legacy, for, like you said, for your grandkids, your kids, and then your family, friends, loved ones, your community, just your international presence, and what people know you for, like, what would that be? What would your legacy be that you would leave behind?
Just that I live my life, whatever that may be, you can't have a testimony without a test. I mean, I wouldn't change anything. All the bullying, the being disowned by family and friends, some family members and friends, and I wouldn't change any of that. The divorce, everything. I would do it all over again if I knew I was going to be where I am today. Because again, God's plan is much better than the plan I thought I was going to have. So that would be my legacy, especially for my grandchildren, that I live my life, and good to people.
That's right. That's right. That is right. Oh man, it has been such a pleasure, Miss Monika Pickett.
To go.
I know this has been awesome, and this is just the beginning, y'all. Because I got to bring her back on the G.E.M, y'all. We got to talk about so many other things we didn't get to touch on, but I want people to know how they can follow you, where they can listen to you. Just if they want to buy your book, how can they find the book? All of those types of things. So if you can share that with our listeners.
Sure. Facebook, Monika Pickett, LinkedIn, Monika Pickett, Instagram, _pretty Monika Pickett. And they can read my articles or blogs online. Some of the older ones on Huffington Post, EUR Web. And also you can find basically everything about me and my work on my website at www.monikambpickett.com. And also, all three of my books are available at Amazon. However, you can always send me a message through my Facebook or DM me, and I can personally sign copies and send you copies.
Wow. So there it is, y'all. Y'all heard it from Miss Monika M. Pickett, y'all. Thank you so much, Miss Monika, for being on the G.E.M. We truly, truly appreciate you. And for everybody that's been watching.
You stuck with me now. I'm not playing. You stuck with me.
I know that's right. You stuck with me too, girl. We got other things to do. I got other stuff I'm about to be like, sign you up.
Yes.
So definitely. So we definitely going to stay connected. Thank you, everybody that's been watching. Yes. I see all you got a whole bunch of fans over there on the comments.
And I want to give a shout out to my production assistant, Mommy. Thank you, Mommy. You know,
I know, mom over there, she is a G, y'all. She back there getting it right.
is.
I love it. I
Thank you
absolutely
so
love
much.
it. Absolutely, absolutely. I think you were one of the first people to reach out to me for this new season, and I am just truly blessed by your testimony and just reading your bio. I was like, oh my gosh, she want to be on my panel.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. Like
right. Yes.
your spirit is beautiful and your energy is radiant. It just makes me smile. So, like I said, I was
Oh,
gonna
thank
stalk you.
you.
Even if you never answered me for 6 months, I was gonna stalk you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, your friends are on the hook over here. I'm
Ain't no
laughing out
drag
there.
queen, girl.
Well, thank you for rocking with
Thank
the
you,
gym. I
Tammy.
truly appreciate you.
Thank
Stay
you.
blessed. Take care, babes. Bye. Bye.